Hello and thank you for joining us for PME's Facebook Live event for April. Don't know where that month's gone, but it's gone really, really quickly. Welcome if you've joined us from wherever you are in the world, and if you're live now, or if you're a little bit later and you're watching us just afterwards. Today we've got a real intergalactic adventure for you, as you will have seen, and we're all gearing up here, ready to roll. So first of all, let's just run you through, like we normally do, who's doing what where, etc. So upstairs we've got Samir, who will be tapping away and communicating with you. Down here we've got Pat on the stop-go boards, so that we're getting all the information fed through to us. And we've also got Olivia down here. Carmen's upstairs too. We've got Peter, who's recording. We've got Pauline, there you go, a little wave from Peter. He's getting braver as time goes on, I've noticed. We've got Pauline, who's going to assist if we need an extra pair of hands over there. Last time we had Janet, if you remember. And you've got me, Paula McLeod. I'm going to take you through some of this fun that we're going to have. We've got a little alien, we've got a rocket, and we've got some interesting little designs with some kind of like, I don't know, what would you call them, kind of constellation type effects, I think is the best way of describing it. It's another big word for me at this time of day as well. So we're going to wander off down here, myself and Peter, so that we can get started with what will be a satellite. Now, I've done the satellite so it's just sitting on the board, but if you really wanted to, you could kind of put a little board under it and have it levering out of the side of the cake. Everything we're doing can either be individual on a cake or on the board, however you want to. And in a smaller version for your cupcakes and for your biscuits as well. So, off we go then. Don't forget, shout outs, etc. If you want to say hello, we're just waiting to hear from you. So if you want to send us any questions or just say a big hello, we'll be really happy to hear from you as well. Right, so I've got some paste here. Just going to give it a little knead so that it's where it needs to be. I've just got some modelling paste, so it's not too soft, but it's going to hold its shape, hopefully, quite nicely. And it's black, but I am going to be spraying this up if I manage to remember it. But if I don't remember to spray it, don't worry, because Pauline's going to jump in and remind me to do so. Am I, she says? So I'm just rolling that into a ball, and then I'm just going to roll it into a sausage. Not too big. And if you need to, just to get rid of any of those finger marks, you can just bring in your smoother, just flatten up the sides and the ends a little bit if that's what you need to do, and then just bring it back round again and away we go. Now we could just chop off the ends if we need to, but I think that's going to be flattened enough, I think. There we go, so we don't want that too big. I'm just going to bring in this to make sure that we've got about the right size going on for what will I don't know what to call them. I think they're called wings, but I'm not 100% sure. They're kind of the bits that stick out either side of the satellite. Solar panels, thank you, Peter. That was very technical, wasn't it? There's me talking about wings and Peter comes in with solar panels. Well, thank you for that clarification. That's good to know. Okay. So then we're just going to cut out a little disc, and this is just going to stick to one end, just like so. So again, I've got some modelling paste. Now this is going to be fairly thick, just to give us the effect. So I'm actually going to use some guide rings on the end of the rolling pin, just to make sure I get a nice even depth. So I'm going to use those yellow ones, and I'm just going to slide them on either side of the rolling pin. There we go. And I've just got my circle cutter just to cut the circle out, obviously. There we go. I don't think we've actually done a Facebook Live on a Monday before either. This is a first for us, I think. So hopefully you've been able to join us from wherever you are. And hopefully you've all had a very lovely weekend as well. So there we go. So that's our component part there, ready to go. And then we're going to look at solar panels, as Peter told me. So again, in the modelling paste, but if you wanted to, you could use gum paste for this. Now I'm not going to roll this out too thinly either, because we're actually just going to emboss the design onto here. We're not fully cutting out this time at all. And I'm going to use, just so that I don't go too thin, I'm actually going to use some green spacers this time, just to give me the correct depth. What I hope is the correct depth. There we go, so just slide those on. There we go. Just ease that open a little bit. There we go. And away we are. So as soon as the little spacers hit the paste, it flattens it out, and that should keep it then to just where we need it to be. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of icing sugar underneath there, just so that I can manage to cut that in a second. And then I'm just going to bring in my geometric cutter, which is my small square. Now don't push too hard, so I'm just going to start one end. And if you find you haven't embossed it enough, that doesn't matter, because you can just realign it and go back over again. There we go. So I think that should be all right. Let's take it off. Oh no, that's okay. We're good. You're good. Now you can either use your cutting wheel or palette knife, whichever one you want to. So I'm just going to line that up and trim that up. And then I'm just going to go into the middle just to divide that out. There we go. So it's a nice sharp little palette knife, this, nice and flexible. And just cut around the edges then as well. There we go, and the same thing around the other side too. And that will give you your 2 solar panels. I'd have still been calling them wings, Peter, if you hadn't have been there to tell me it was a solar panel. He's very chatty today as well. There we go. I think I've just dribbled on the paste actually as well. Right, so what we've got over here is one that's already dried, so I don't need to go through all of them. So that's just showing you. I'm going to pop those ones up there so we can see. And then when you've got it dried, then you're able to just add in a little bit of luster just over the top there. Now you can either use silver or you can use pearl. I've got silver for actually coating up the outside of the satellite, and then I've got some pearl for actually just kind of on the solar panels, just giving it a little bit of a highlight. Now what I've actually done earlier is I sprayed into here, which is something we do quite a bit, and we've used the airbrush in the past as well, but what I was actually going to do is just use some glaze cleaner just to kind of rejuvenate that back up again, because it's really handy, and if you've got it, it means you're not wasting it if you want to kind of just recycle it in there a little bit. So you can see that's kind of brought it back round again. There's people ferociously waving boards in the background there. Olivia's done a smashing job there. And I do believe we've got a shout out, so Pat's coming rushing over here. She's running. And while you're doing that, I'll just start painting, Pat, if that's okay.
And you know how I am trying to pronounce names. Well, they've set me a task right from the...
Are we off to a good start?
Right from the off. But we will begin with Charmaine, who says hello from Toronto. Ooh. Thumbs up, big smiley faces, and lots of love.
Oh, that's lovely.
And Rebecca Drake, that is, says, hi Paula, looking forward to a galaxy of instructions.
Ooh.
So
no pressure.
Definitely getting into the swing of things there. And then we have Majantha, says hello from the Maldives. Now,
oh,
that sounds
lovely.
Nice.
Sounds a lot better than here at the moment, doesn't it? That sounds really great.
And Shirley Kwan says, hi Paula from Hong Kong.
Hello Shirley. Shirley's one of our approved instructors over there in Hong Kong. Hello.
And Alumni. Is that it, Peter?
I like the way Pat's trying to involve Peter now to make it his fault.
Says hello.
And hello to everybody as well that's watching. It's good to know that you're there watching and supporting, and hopefully you'll see some handy hints and tips. And again, as always, if you actually kind of want to send us any pictures of things that you've been doing, it's always really good to know what you've been up to and how things have turned out for you. So don't ever be shy in sending photographs of what you've been doing based on what we've shown you on Facebook Live. Okay, so that's our wings where they need to be. I'm just going to plonk myself down and we'll start looking at some of the little extra bits that are going to go on there as well. So I've got some half ball mould kind of little bits of detail just ready. Peter was just watching those and I've now just moved them for him. So there we go. There we are. So I've just got a little mini half ball mould there. And we're just going to use a little bit of paste in there. Again, this is modelling paste that we're using, so it's nice and firm. So if you try and use sugar paste, you'll find it just kind of like gets very stuck in there. So I've just dropped a little ball in there to see if that's going to be about the right sort of amount, and I think it probably will be. So just a little push lightly into there, and that should then just ease out with the scriber. There we go, so that's come out nice and easily because it's a filled space. And that just creates these, which we're actually going to stick just down the middle of our little satellites. Just going to add a little bit of glue onto there. We use the new one too. So we're just going to put 3 of these around the centre, use up the dried ones as well. There we go. And one more, that gives us 3. I don't know that it's necessarily going to look like my other satellite that's over there, but as long as it looks a bit similar, that's going to be okay. Okay, Pauline, it's that time where I'm going bright red now, so we're starting to get a bit warm again. So Pauline's rushed over to the aircon to pop that on for us ready. There we go, and I'm just going to add in that little section there as well, just onto one end. There we go. And on the opposite end, we're actually going to be attaching a piece of our dried half ball mould here. So for that larger one, thank you by the way, we're just going to get another piece of paste. Again, it's modelling paste that we've got. So again, just give that a quick knead. I'm just going to roll it out just a little tiny bit, just to get that going, to ease it into the half ball mould, because that should push into there quite nicely. And I am, because it's a little bit sticky, I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of icing sugar underneath it, which means to say it will just come out that little bit easier when we go to remove it. Gum paste comes out very, very easily and straight away, but because I'm going to push it and use another half ball mould just to help shape it, sometimes you find it can stick a little bit. So just ease that all the way round up to that top edge so that you've got a nice, or will have a nice neat finish. There we go. I think I've just put it in and slipped it round. There we go, that's it, that's got it. And then just with your palette knife, you can just trim with that outside edge. So that gives you a nice, neat finish. Just going to hold on to that to make sure it doesn't go where it shouldn't do. Oops. There we go. And right the way round. There we are. Just run that round with your finger to smooth that edge. There we go. And this is where, if you just want to make sure that you've got a really nice kind of finish, just push your other half ball mould in, just to make sure that it kind of finishes where it needs to. Now you can leave that to dry in there, or you can just flip that straight out and then just place it over the side of the half ball mould to dry, like so. At least that way it's out of the mould and it's doing what it needs to do. And then we've got one that's already dried here, and we've got this one that's in here as well, which is kind of ready to come out. So don't worry about any icing sugar that may be on there, because we're going to spray over it and it'll just add to that kind of spacey look that you've got on the go. So a little bit of glue, because this is nice and wet, so that should fix onto there really nicely. There we go. So that will give us that bit. So that gives us that dish at the back for our satellite. There we go. Now if you want to, you can add in a little pearl onto there, or just a little bit of paste that's left over, just to kind of make it look like it's an antenna. I think that's what that's called as well. So again, just a little triangle of paste should do the job. I'm doing very well because I keep remembering I have got to spray this, so I'm remembering. I'm doing okay. There we are. So a little bit onto the end there, and that should just sit in the end there. All good. She says as it comes away, just onto my hands. There we go. So now I'm going to pop it into the box and give that a little spray. Here we go. There it is. So this is where Peter's going to have to watch out, because he's going to get totally covered, probably in some luster spray of some description. There we go. Just going to slide that into position a little bit more. There we go. So this is where we're going to use the silver now to give it a nice look. And I'll start to spray it, and then maybe Pauline could carry on spraying it for me in a minute, just so that you can start to see how that's looking. There we go. So you can see that's got a nice look going on there. You've got a nice silvery look there, Peter. So Pauline's just going to carry on spraying that for us. And then when she's done that, we'll just attach these either side. They're actually, there you go, if I hand that over to you, Pauline, thank you. So we're just going to sit these, if you can see, because it's still going to be wet, so they're just going to sit there like that once that's all sprayed up. So that gives you that satellite look. There we go. So while that's happening at the moment, you can hear the spush in the background. We're going to look at some planets as well. So again, looking at the half ball mould, you can see that we've done what would be some rings here. So if you're just going to use one half of the mould, you can cut your circles out so that just into the centre you can have your planet sitting in there. So it actually looks like it's a kind of a ring running the way round. Now if you're going to do a full planet, if you just cut your disc out, and then you can attach and have a planet the other side as well. So then you've got like a floating planet there. So we're just going to do another half. I think Pauline's still got the spray. You all sprayed up there, Pauline, okay? Yeah, oh, super duper stuff. Yeah, no, that's looking good, thank you. And then we'll bring that back in a second. And we'll just pop it in the middle, so we've got our satellite. I won't touch it just yet though, because I've just got my colours, thanks though.
I'll hold it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, there's a shout out there. Sorry, Olivia, how long were you there? There we go.
Let's put it this way, our arm's aching.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Olivia. She's laughing away over there.
So,
yeah,
you
we're
okay
all
for me
good.
to do
Yeah,
these?
no, you're fine, Pat.
Okay, so first of all, Raguma Kodali says hello.
Hello.
And Talana Goddard says hello from South Africa.
Oh, lovely.
Kim Oborn says hi from sunny Florida, and she sent a big sun.
Thank you. Rub it in.
It's wet and cold here.
It's not nice here in the UK. It's really miserable.
And Hanan Habib says hello from Egypt.
Oh, that sounds really hot and lovely too.
It does. And Hannah Louise Squire says hiya. My 2-year-old Alfie says hello.
Oh.
He loves a cake decorating video, and she sends a kiss.
Oh, hello little Alfie then, from all of us here at PME. Thank you for watching us and joining us today. So I just got my two colours. I got some red and I got some orange, and I've just kind of twisted them in together, and that's given us a kind of a marbled planet look. You can just do it a little bit more if that's what you want to do. And then we're going to drop that in, and that's going to create the other half of our planet. So I'll just take a little bit out because it might be a bit too much. Don't want to overfill it. It's a little bit sticky, but we'll just try bobbing it back in. So if you end up with any kind of like messy bits, put them to the top so it doesn't show on the round bit. There we go. So just give it a push right up to the edge so you get a nice edge on it. There you go. And if you want to check its level, you can just give it a little rub round, and if it sticks, then you know you've got too much paste, so just take a little bit more out. But I think we're okay. And that should just flip out now. There we are. So that's created the other half of our planet. So one of these, this one probably isn't going to stick, but I'm just going to go with it anyway. This one is nice and wet onto the dry, so we'll be okay. There we are. So that's 1/2. And what I might do is just use a bit of piping gel for the dry bit here to this dry one, because that will hold it a little bit better. And then I'm going to sit it into there, and that will just hold, hopefully, a little bit better. That was a big sigh there, Peter. You okay?
Yeah, just breathing. Just
breathing. Yes, please keep breathing. That's always a good idea. There we go. Looks like a hat, doesn't it? But it's not. It's going to be a planet. So hopefully that should stick. Just level it up so that they're kind of where they need to be. But you can see then you've got Saturn on the way. There we are. So it's just going to sit in there and hopefully dry for us. There we go. Now the other thing that you may have spotted is our planet there that's kind of a marbly effect. And for that one, we just used some gum paste again. And we just added some concentrate into that. So again, just make sure it's kind of a pre-knead already, so it's nice and warmed up a bit, your paste. There you go. Just going to add in a little bit of petal base, just to kind of lubricate the gum paste up a little bit. That just helps. And if it's a bit sticky, it just helps bring it back round again as well, stops it sticking to your hands everywhere. And then just some cocktail sticks. If I can get them out. This is our favourite cocktail stick container, isn't it? Pauline's laughing at me there because we're always saying about the cocktail stick holders that they never want to come out. Yeah, Pauline just takes the bottom off everywhere, but when I do that, they just go everywhere, so I'm not going to do that. So we can just put, I've got some hot pink, so I'm going to pop some hot pink in. That's nice. And I've got some regal purple, so that's going to go there as well. And don't forget, don't put your cocktail sticks back in again. And then we've got a little bit of turquoise blue as well. And I'm just going to fold them in. I'm going to regret this because this is where my fingers are going to be filthy. I have got gloves, but I don't want to waste time putting them on. There we go. So just give it a twist. Once it starts to go, that's okay, then it won't go all over me. There we are. That's it. Give it a twist as you go in, and you can start to see that all coming through now, and that gives you those lovely colours. A little bit more petal base, so that I don't stick. There we are. Fold that in. Give it another twist as we go, and there you go. You can start to see you've got that really nice kind of marbled planety look with all those lovely colours going on. There you go. So give it a roll round, and then that's ready. Look at that, it's quite nice actually, that. Just as it is, it looks like a good one like it is even. Look at that. That does look pretty good. But I do want it the right size, so I am going to divide it up just to make sure that I've got the correct look to it. And we're going to stick some of these on a little bit later. So I've got my full planet there. I'm just going to do this as my half. There we go. And then just pull that out, and there you go. So that's a lovely kind of marbled look going on there. Now I think Pauline's got, she's very patiently waiting with the satellite. So ready, Pauline, for the satellite? There we go. That's brilliant. I'm just going to pinch that off you as well, if that's all right. I'm just going to lever it up there. This is probably where I'll end up with silver all over me. So we can just plonk that in there. So that can just sit either side to give you a very simple little satellite there. Thank you, Pauline. So there we go. So that's a few hints and tips on how to create a very basic, simple little satellite. And then we're going to move over to the next one, and we're going to look at creating this little alien. Let me bring him in. Here he is. It's our little friend. There he is. He says hello, everybody. There he is, ready to go. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm just going to ask Pauline again, getting her to work well today, if she could just roll out this gum paste for me just over there. I think I've left you a bit of space. There you go, there's not a lot of room. If you could, that'd be great, and just pop the bag over it. And that's just going to be for our little flag in a minute. So at the moment, we're just going to make his little spaceship first of all. Now what I've done on this one is I've used nice brightly coloured little pearls that are just over here that Peter's showing you, because I thought it looked like flashy lights on here. But I think I've got one that's pre-done already, and I just think it looks really nice in actual fact with the silver pearls over here. So you can kind of pick and choose as to what sort of effect you have for your little alien. Now this is already dried out, so it's ready for the next layer. And all I've used there is just a very large circle cutter. And I've rolled out my paste using my spacers, so it's nice and deep to give me that kind of deep filled look that's going on there as well. So this is kind of the next thing on if you've just joined us from the satellite that we've just done over there. So I'm going to go with my plastic nesting set cutter again there, and it's my favourite bag that never wants to open. There we go. So this is modelling paste that we've got on the go here. So this has just got some CMC in it, and that's carboxymethyl cellulose. So it's just your sugar paste with a bit of CMC added into it. There we go. Go and pinch that one there. There we are. Got bands every. Oh, there's a shout out. Hopefully Olivia wasn't there for too much longer. I like the way Pat's got you to hold the boards up as well.
Well, I can't see you.
There's me saying I'd see you better, didn't I?
So first of all, we're going to Sweden. It looks as though the sun's shining in Sweden as well, and that's from Helena Agren, and she says hello, sends you a big smile and a wave.
Hello.
And then we head to Hong Kong.
Oh.
Two people that I don't think we could do Facebook Live without.
Well, no, and that's got to be Peggy and Joseph. Yes, Blossom Cakes in Hong Kong. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us again. It's good to know that you're there watching and supporting. I don't think there's one that they've missed, to be honest.
I don't think there is.
Which isn't that wonderful?
And then we're going to the US, to Pennsylvania.
Ooh,
and that's Patty Cheney says hello from Greencastle.
Oh, lovely, hello.
And then we're back to the UK. Sandra Rushton says hello from Dover in Kent, and she sends you a big kiss.
That's lovely. Lots of kisses back from us to you.
And then we're heading to South Africa. Maritza says hi from Cape Town. And then Lilia Lopez says, I love it, but I don't know where she's from. So, hi, Lilia.
Oh, that's really good. But again, we've got everybody from all around the globe, which is really, really good to know that you're all tuning in, especially with all the different time changes and differences, you know, that it's not necessarily all that easy. I mean, obviously here in the UK, it's 2:30 now. But wherever you may be, you know, you've got different time scales, different things going on. So it's really good to know that you're there supporting us and tuning in to see what we get up to. So thank you for that. A little bit of glue. There we go. So I've just smoothed off, I'm not going to put much on there, just a little bit to hold it on there. Just put a little bit of glue. That's my second section to go with my little UFO that my little alien's going to be in. Just going to slide it to make sure it's in the middle. There we go. And I'm just going to use the little cutter just to kind of emboss where he's going to be sitting in a little while. There we go, just give him a little push in. And I've also used the same cutter just to cut out a circle that's pre-dried so that we can then lever everything and have it sitting on there at the end too. So it just gives him a kind of an alien kind of look in his little spaceship. There you go. So I'll just move that off there for now. And all I've done is go round with a ball tool just to start with on the base, and I'm just going to duplicate that on the top section, just on the edge to help push it in, just so that I can then add in my little pearls afterwards. It just kind of gives me a bit of a base to go with, and then I can gauge that I've got it right the way round, hopefully evenly as I manoeuvre round. So a good pair of tweezers is a handy thing to have at this point in time, so that you can just drop those into position. So at this point you should be able to just gauge that that's gone as it needed to. And then a little bit of glue just to hold those in. So we can do 2 or 3 of those at the same time as we go round. Here we go. I'm just going to tip those into the the lid, just so they don't go flying around everywhere. There we are. And this is probably where I'll regret this. There we are. And then we can just add them in. So you can see it looks nice and sparkly with these ones. There we go. Yep, there we go. They're headed in very nicely. And then you just carry on all the way round, which I'm not going to do because that's going to take quite a little while, and I'm sure you don't want to watch me sit here do that. So Pauline can probably guess what's going to happen now at this point, because I can't get this one to go in there, so I'm going to hand this over to you. If you wouldn't mind just sticking in those pearls for me, that would be great. And I'll take this away and I can leave you there. There you go. And I'll give you some pearls as well, so you can... It's your favourite, isn't it? You liked doing this the other day, so there you go.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to slide that over there till I'm ready. And it won't dry out, and pop a cover over it. That's lovely. Thank you for that, Pauline. Hadn't planned on that bit, but I then realised that by the time I've got them pinging around everywhere, you don't really want to watch that, do you? Okay, so now we're going to look at our little friendly alien, who's waving merrily to you all there. We haven't given him a name. He's just called Alien, as it happens, which is a bit sad, really. But he's happy. Okay, so again, we've got some modelling paste. So we're just going to roll that to a ball and then just into a little cone, which is what we did shape-wise. Just make sure all your creases are out before you start to do anything with it, or if you have got any creases, if they're at the bottom, that's okay. So, but we're all right. There we go. Just going to smooth it a little bit down. There we go, so we haven't got a rough look. There we go. So kind of a triangular shape is fine. You can make it a bit taller if you want to. There we go. So I've actually got dried over here his eyes ready to go, and I've actually got his little arms also ready to go and be pushed in there. It works really well if you do have these pre-dried, because then you can push them in. You get a really nice good attachment going into the body. But what we'll do is we'll give him a little mouth first of all. Now you can either do a smiley mouth like he's got on there, or you can do a shocked mouth like the little chap here, so he's just a bit surprised. So it's up to you which one you want to do. But he's a happy alien, so we're just going to give him a happy smiley mouth and pull that down a little bit if you want it a little bit open. Now his eyes on stalks are actually going to be going over here, so I'm actually going to pre-mark where they're going to go, and his arms will go on the sides there. So again, I'm just going to pre-mark so that I've got them hopefully pretty level, and then we'll come back to those in a second. And we're just going to show you how we've done the eyes and the arms. Pauline's doing very well, sticking the silver pearls into the spaceship there. There we go. It's looking very spaceshipy, I think, with the silver on. I think I prefer the silver to the multicoloured, to be honest, but I do like it. There we go. So, ball of paste, not too big. I think maybe, is that the size of a grape, do you reckon, Peter?
Yeah, large
grape. Large grape. Yep, that'll do. So, that large grape sort of size. I'm just going to chop that in half with my palette knife. There we go. Roll that into a ball, and the other one as well. Make sure they're about the same sort of size. And then just kind of turn it into a long worm, just by rolling it in the palm of your hands, like so. And then I'm just going to use 2 fingers to just create lumpy bumpy bits, which is generally what we try not to do, but that just gives it a little bit of movement, which is what we do want. Same thing with the other one. There you go, so it just kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. There we go. And then on the end, we can just flatten the end down a little bit and just give it the shape that we want. So I'm maybe going to go, yeah, we'll go with that one. There we go. And then you can roll a little bit more if you want a bit more shape, just to give him the look that we're after. And that's where his eyes are actually going to sit, on that flattened section. There you go. And again, if you want to do a bit more rolling, a bit more undulation, then you can do. There we are. Okay. And then we're going to get his arms ready as well. And his little spaceship's ready too. Now my gum paste there, or my modelling paste, is just sweating just a little bit. You can see, so I'm just going to put some of my petal base in there just to rejuvenate that round a little bit, and just to stop it being so tacky, so I can still use that. Okay. There we go. So just roll that into a ball. Chop that in half as well, and that's going to be for his arms. Might as well sit down for a second. So just two little tiny kind of wormy things. There we go. Not too long. And we're just going to flatten the end again, so we're doing the same type of thing, and that's where we're going to do his little cartoon hands. So again, just flatten down on the end, one there and on the other one as well. And then we're just going to cut into those. You can thin it down a bit if you want to. Just roll it between your fingers. Grab your scissors and then just cut 3 fingers for our cartoon. So just do two little cuts, and same thing there. So 1 and 2. There we go. And then we can just open those out. You don't need to roll these really, just a little push will be suffice to straighten those up. So you don't need to worry. So it's nice and easy if you've got little people joining you and they don't want to or can't manage to roll those little fingers. Just a little push on the end rounds those off all okay. And then leave those to dry, and then they're ready to head into your next little body shape that you do. We're just going to add some eyes on there at the moment. So that's with some gum paste. So we've got some white gum paste and some black gum paste. And Pat's there, while I'm cutting out using my plunger cutters, Pat's there with another shout out. Way to go, Pat.
I'm on my way.
Here she comes.
Okay, so first of all, we're in the US, in
lovely.
New York, and this is from Michelle Sweet.
Oh, lovely.
And then
The Big Apple.
Big Apple.
Ah.
Do you think they have big aliens too?
Maybe you can let us know.
I just wondered. Just thought I'd ask.
She's quite mad, really.
Valentina says hi from Roma.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, lovely.
And Raisa Sadir says South Africa in the house.
Lovely. Good to know. Good to know.
And Cal Martino says hi from Argentina.
Oh, that's really lovely. Isn't that wonderful? Again, everybody from everywhere. It's really good to know. Thank you again for joining us. Some very exotic sounding places, far more exotic than Enfield is at the moment here in London, with the rain and the wind, which was blowing before we started outside. We've gone from very glorious temperatures last week to not so glorious temperatures this week, unfortunately. So you can either flip your paste around a little bit, or a little bit of icing sugar if you need it underneath, just to help it slide underneath. And I've got my little circle plungers. There we go. Got 3 different sizes of those to do my alien's eyes. So we've got two large white ones. There's 1, and then 2. There we go. And then the next size, we've got the black. Again, in the gum paste, so that's those. So nice and easy, nice and quick. Working our way through the sizes, and then we're back to the white with the little mini one, just to give us a little bit of a highlight on each of his little eyes. There we go. So that's those done, and then we can just attach them onto these little eyes that are going to then dry. Just find my glue, find the glue lid. There we go. So a little bit of each onto there. Pop those into the middle, unless you don't want to go into the middle, and you can just do them off centre. Quite like them in the middle though. There we are. And then just to the same side each way. He can be a bit boss-eyed if you want him to. So he looks a bit surprised or shocked, or not. There he goes. And a little bit of glue, and again we're going to leave these can dry, so they don't need to be popped straight in. And then the little eye can sit there. Just going to have the highlights facing the same way. Push those in and then leave those to dry to one side. There we go. So in our body, let's just see if we can get our hands and our pre-dried eyes in there ready to go. There we are. So I'm just going to see how they're going to fit. So I'm just going to enlarge the holes a little bit so that they go in nice and easily. Because I don't want to break them. They're not, they haven't got any sugar sticks in them or anything like that. So I do want them to go in really well. But I'm just going to have a go. Yep, that should be okay, I think. And a little bit of glue just to secure them. There we go. Just push those in. Like I said, they have been drying nicely, so if you make sure that these are nice and dry, and you can twist one of the eyes round, so he's a little bit kind of like ski whiff, which is good. And then the dried hands can go in as well. So again, just open up the hole just a little bit, ready for them to go in. And a little bit of glue on there, just so that they hold nicely. There we are. So he's just waving to everybody at home at the moment. But he's a very quick, easy and simple little alien, but quite hopefully effective. So he's now ready to go into or onto his spaceship. He's got his little section underneath there. We'll just sit it on there for now. A little bit of glue just to hold him. Now, if you do want to put a little sausage of paste around him, you can do, just to keep him in there secure. You can do, just to finish him off, but if not, he's fine as he is. Now, Pauline was also rolling out some paste earlier for me. Whoops-a-daisy, he's fallen off his base. And that was just so that we can have a little flag created, which we've got there. So that's, again, that's just in some gum paste. So pop that down. There we go. So we're getting quite a kind of collection of different things. We've got our satellite, we've got our alien spaceship, we've got our little alien as well. And we're just going to cut out a little flag, and we're going to put a little message on the flag as well. So again, just using the triangle geometric. I have to admit, these days I kind of think, what would we have done without these? More and more now. And I've got a lollipop stick, so that's quite a long one. That's a 7.9 inch, 20 centimetre one, that. But you can use any size. I've just used the longer one because I thought that would be easier to be able to push in to the cake. A little bit of sugar glue just down there. And again, this is something that it's best left to dry. Give it a little push just on there if that's what you want to do. And that's left to dry and ready to go. Now, there isn't any kind of air, I don't think, in space, is there? There's no wind. But if you do want to, you can just thin and frill the edge a little bit, just to give it a little bit of movement, if that's what you decide you want to do, which is what I did on the one that's on the cake at the moment. And then attach it and leave that to dry and put your little message on. So I've got my pen. So, obviously, we're going to put on here, PME was here. PME was here. So we've been to space. Yay. Little exclamation marks. That's ready to stick into the cake with the alien. Pat's got another shout out as well. There we go. So that's all ready. So now we're moving along this way. Pauline's on again, if you could, thank you. So while Pat's doing the shout outs, Pauline's just going to roll this out for me, please, if you would, with those spacers on. That's wonderful stuff, thank you. Yep, you're ready to rumble, Pat, you're fine.
Okay, so first of all, Bruna Moretti says, hello, miss your lovely courses, and she's from Italy.
Oh, that's great. Sorry.
And Catty Klein says hello. She's from Beaverton in Oregon, USA.
That's lovely. Hello.
And Sydney Sheesby says hello from South Africa.
Oh.
Here's a name you'll recognise, Maggie Lamb.
Oh, Maggie, yes, another one of our approved teachers. Yes, hello, Maggie.
In Hong Kong.
Lovely.
She says hello, Paula.
Hello.
Maria Di Genova says hello, but I'm not quite sure where Maria's from. And Diana Hindley says hello from Australia.
Wow, we've got some really wonderful locations. Oh, wow. It's really good. Thank you so much for joining us from everywhere in the world where you are. And it's really good to know that you're kind of tuning in, listening, supporting us, and hopefully picking up some really good hints and tips along the way as well. Hopefully having some fun with us at the same time. Okay, so we're just going to get some paste kneaded up ready. There we go. What I might do is I might even throw this Pauline's way as well. She didn't know about that bit yet. Just thinking about it still, Pauline, just thinking about it. I'll let you know if it is though. Okay, so just for the little spaceship, all I've done is used 3 little cupcakes because that's quite a big area if you then decided to do that in sugar paste. It's quite heavy as well, and you don't necessarily want to start baking. And although we don't like to hop into the shop and buy anything ready done, if you needed to, you could quite easily just use some shop-bought little cupcakes, which is what you could do. If not, if you've got some in the freezer, then that's all well and good. Just grab them out. So all I've done is just levelled off the round bit from the cupcakes. So just give that a little turn. So you've got a nice flat section and a flat area. Just all the way round. There we go. So that's 1, and then 2, and it's taken 3 for this. So it's just levelling them off so you've got nice flat to flat cupcakes. And of course you've got some leftovers there, so someone's going to have to eat them. So we'll pop them down there in the bin, I'm afraid. And then we'll just stack one on top of the other. Now you can put some piping gel in between here, or some glue if that's what you want to do, or buttercream, whatever you would like to do, whatever you prefer. And I'm just going to put a little stick through there, so that's my lollipop stick, but it's not staying, it's only to be able to hold it together while we're just trimming up a little bit. So we're just taking the excess bits of cake off, just going straight down there. There we go. Thanks, Pauline. Pauline was just rolling out some paste, which is actually going to be for the little feet that are going around the rocket either side. There we go. So you're just smoothing it out all the way round, like so. And then if you need to, you can bring in your vegetable peeler just to tidy it up all the way around, if that's what you need to do, just so you've got it quite smooth. It doesn't matter if it isn't too smooth because it's a rocket, because it's been in space, so it could have got a bit bashed up. So a little bit of unevenness isn't a bad thing. Again, very forgiving, so sometimes it's quite handy. There we go. And then when that's ready, that should give you your nice smooth little series of 3 cupcakes, one on top of the other. So then all we need to do is coat that. Let me just move those cake bits out of the way. There we are. Let's move them out the way. There we go, in the bin. Nice and clean as we go. So what I've done is I've just coated some, I was going to say buttercream, but it's not. It's piping gel just around the outside. But if you do want to use buttercream, that's absolutely fine. And I will be pulling the stick out shortly. Pauline's got some paste rolled out there for me ready. I'll just roll this out because that's ready now. I'm kind of there for it, so don't worry. You're okay. You're all right. I'm gonna go with it now. I wasn't too sure how long it would take me and if I needed to or not, so you're good. So I'm actually just going to use the square geometric again, just to create the kind of sides of the rocket. Again, I've got my spacers on here too, just so I've got a nice even amount of paste going around. There we are. So again, that gives us what should be a nice effect all the way round. So a little bit of icing sugar underneath there. There we go. And that can move around on the surface then, all well and good. So just give them a little push out and a little wiggle. There we go. And that should give us our nice little squares. There we go. And just a paintbrush to push those through. go. I probably won't need all of these because I've got most of it already done. If I just bring them in, and then you can see they can attach just onto there. Now you might need to kind of push a little bit just to have them kind of come to the surface. We've got some paste we're going to put onto the top as well. Round we go. And then once we've gone all the way round, we're just going to add in a little bit of detail so it looks like you can actually see kind of like the bolts and where they go. So just going to use the pointy end there, serrated cone tool, just push in just to give it a little bit of extra. What you could do is even go around there with a little bit of luster just to kind of emphasise that that's where the kind of the bolts are holding it all together. If you wanted to, you don't have to, but depends how much time you've actually got. There we are. And then all the way round. So try and keep it so that it's in between, so it's not all the right way round. Offset, and you might need to kind of squash to get them in. It depends how much you've taken off with your little squares. So I'm just going to push them together, which is fine because if you need to come a little bit higher to the edge, it gives you the option to do that, and that just slots in like so. And then you can carry on adding in your little extra little bits and pieces with your tool. I won't carry on with those now because we don't need to. So at this point now I'm just going to take that stick out. We don't need to leave that in. A little bit more piping gel across the top, and we're just going to cut out a circle just to seal the top area before we put that top section on there. There we go. So a little bit of that one. There we go. And again, if you want to use your spacers, then that will just mean to say you'll get a nice even amount of paste going across there. It doesn't need to be too much, just I'll put the blue ones on and that'll do the job. And circle cutter. I've got two different ones there. I've got the plastic cookie ones and a metal one as well, so either of those. A little bit of icing sugar just underneath and give it a cut out. Now if you need to kind of shrink the size back, just wiggle it within the cutter a little bit, and that just kind of helps bring it in to fit hopefully the top. And if you need to spread that out a little bit, then you can do. Just give it a little rub so it tidies up the edging. And then we can do that top section, which is that pointy bit. And we've just used a cutting wheel and again that serrated cone tool Peter's just showing you now. So just rolling a ball to a cone, and that will just give us the cone shape that we need. And then I'm going to hand it over to Pauline to be able to just add in, if she could, those little bits and pieces for me. Lots of love coming through, Pat's telling me. Lots of love back to you, thank you. So I'm just shaping that at the moment. What I've got, Pauline, is just a few little red bricks that I didn't put the serrated cone tool on, so I'll get you to finish those off as well if I may, if that's all right. I'm just smoothing this so that I've got a nice shape going on. Let's just check and see how we're nearly there. So just smooth it a little bit more just to widen the base out a little bit so it fits that shape. Also gets rid of any creasing that's there too. And then we're just going to use like the cutting wheel just to give it a little bit of shape, and use the serrated cone tool just to add in some more nuts and bolts. There we go, so that's smoothing that out, and that should sit very nicely then on the top. Again, just give it a better shape. There we go, so we're nearly there, I think. Yeah, that's not far out. I think that will suffice, to be honest. Just about. She says going again. Just needs to be a smidgen more. There we are. And I think that will definitely have done it this time. I think, yes, that's better. There we go, happy with that now. That's much better. So I'll start it off, and then Pauline's just going to hop in, and she's just going to add in a little bit more. So we'll just put some lines down, and that's just giving us that little kind of section of panels. And then maybe we can just add one in here, and one up there, and maybe one around there. I don't know that that's straight because I'm upside down at the moment, and then we'll just kind of push those in again, like so. And then when Pauline does that, I'm actually just going to quickly do the windows ready. There we go. So Pauline's just going to carry on with that and finish it for me, if you may. Lovely, thank you very much, while I do the windows quickly. There we go. So these are the windows, again, just used circle cutter and the plungers as well. So they're all ready to go. Pauline's also got some paste rolled out there too. So we're just going to quickly get that done. You don't have to have your windows on there, but it is quite nice to have them on there, really, just to kind of make it look a bit more rockety, if you like. So again, get it all kind of kneaded up a little bit. It was kneaded beforehand, so it isn't too bad. It is all pretty much ready to go. There we are. So I'm just going to roll that like so, a little bit thicker on the black, and just enough of the blue to be able to do a window will do. We only need to do one. So a little bit of icing sugar just underneath there. There we go. So we'll do the blue. There we go. Like so. And we're just going to do the black as well. So I'm just going to push that out. There we go. Again, a little bit of icing sugar underneath it, just so as we've got the flow. How's it going, Pauline? You okay?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Merrily.
I'm ready for takeoff.
Oh, are you? Are you really? Where are you going exactly? We said there'd be an intergalactic adventure, and looks like Pauline's off on her own to go and do that. We've got to shout out now. Send us a postcard when you get there, will you?
I will. Hopefully the weather will be better.
Well, it can't get much worse, can it? Oh dear, there we go. And then Pat's got a shout out, didn't she? So I'm just... There we go. Ready for you, Pat.
Okay.
Yep,
So first of all, Elaine Hyam says hello from Raynham in Kent.
Hello.
That's in the UK. Antoinette Abila says hello from Malta.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Sounds nice, yes.
It does, yes, that sounds lovely.
Carol Heath says hi from dull and cold Dunstable.
Yes,
but she does send you a kiss.
Yeah, kisses back.
Denise Smith says hello from Maryland in the USA.
Oh, lovely.
And Lali Gowden says hello from South Africa. And Sharon Ibbotson says hello from Newcastle.
Oh, that's lovely. Wonder what Newcastle's like now. So, while Pauline's just finishing off that, we've got the windows ready. We've actually got 3, but we'll probably just pop one of those on. And Pauline had rolled this out for me. So again, used some spacers, the green ones, so that they're nice and thick to attach around the bottom of our little rocket. So we don't need all of them, but we'll just kind of push out and have them ready. Now they don't really need to dry, to be honest, because they're thick enough to hopefully stand up anyhow. It is modelling paste again, so they should be all good. But if you do want to attach them after they've dried, that's fine, not a problem. You'll just need to use something like piping gel to make sure you do stick as you need to. There you go. I think we only need a few, so just pop those there ready. There we go. There we go. How's your rocket there?
He's ready.
Oh, that's good.
And it's a he. So.
It's a masculine rocket. Right. Okay, so let's pop a window on. I'm going to go with one that's not dry so that it sits round that bend, hopefully well. A little bit of glue on there, and a little bit of lustre over the top as well is always good, because that will just then give it that little kind of like rockety, spacey look. There we are. And hopefully these should be, see, they're nice and thick. So these now should fit nicely at the sides like so. So a little bit of glue on there. You're very quiet today, Peter.
I'm busy.
No, really? Anything in particular? I think I've made him laugh now. There we go. There we are. So that's starting to look, hopefully, I don't know if that's level or not, but you can see they're kind of like staying where they need to quite easily, and they should attach all well and good. So we go round and do those. There we go. So I don't know how many you want to attach onto here, but Pauline can probably guess what's coming up next. So there we go. If you could just stick the rest of those on for me, that'd be lovely. I don't think we need too many. I think 6 is fine, maybe, something like that. So I'm just going to move this way, because I think that's everything that's happened over there, other than a little bit of luster just to go on there. If I quickly do that, and then Pauline can just run through, carrying on with that. So again, I've got it dry in there, and I've just added a little bit of the glaze cleaner in there, just to kind of bring it back round. So that's quite heavy, so just keep it going until it, there we are. Don't need too much, and just over the little bits, and that's all very rockety now, hopefully. There we go. So I'm going to swap with you. There we are. So now we're on to some spray effects using some lusters, which we're going to have a go at creating. So you can have a variety of different looks going on. And if we turn it round there, Peter can just show you some of the other different designs. So it's very forgiving, so you don't have to follow anything very, very specific as such. And you can just kind of pick your favourite look in the end. So I'm just going to start off with a little bit of blue. It's just occurred to me as well, maybe I need to go round there as your, and then you can get it, can't you, because otherwise. So just a little bit of blue, yes, that's what I've got, so a little bit of blue. There we go. That's probably enough. And then a little bit of green. Just at the top. Give it a good shake first of all. And then just on the top. So you can get some really vibrant colours and vibrant looks going on. Don't want too much. And then a little bit of what I think is gold, just into the centre. And again, so although it's kind of a deep cake, it's quite shallow compared to the other one. So just through the centre, a little bit, don't need too much. And then just a little bit of hot pink going in on here as well, just to start it. Take the excess off though, you don't want too much going on, because we're just going to go across the middle and kind of just dab as we go, just to try and get a little bit of an effect going on. And then just take out the excess and go back again. There we go. And you could be using any colour that you want to. And just blend it in and around. I'm going to take that out from there. Just bring it through. And then we're also going to have a little bit of black going on over the top too. So you're just kind of fading it into the other colours. Oh, you're getting close there, Peter. Oh, gosh, I can't get any closer. There we go. So you just kind of fade into the outside edges, so it looks a kind of a bit, hopefully, cloudy as we're going along. Then the next colour, we've got some black. Just going over there. Helps if you take the other can off, doesn't it? And you're just kind of coming across those other ones that you've got there, so it kind of looks like the black is over the others. And then if you want to add in any other colours over the top, you can do. So a little bit of pearl. Just going to take some of the colouring out, so it's a kind of a pinky colour again with the pearl. Not too much, and just kind of over the top again, so it kind of looks a bit cloudy. So just give it a little bit of a dab over the top. A little bit more black. It's going to be the last one I pick up. Oh, is it that one? Oh no, it's on the thing. So it just kind of covers over, so you get a little bit of a shadow over the top of it. And the brush will be a little bit drier now, so again you can just do a little bit more cloudy effect over the edge. There we go. Just give it a little bit of a wiggle, a bit of a fluff as you go. So it probably doesn't look too exciting, but the best bit now is where you can go into the lid with some pearl and you can flick some colour around. So this is where whoever's standing not too far away, that's okay, may get covered in some lustre. So you need a good pastry brush as well for this, and plenty of it, and then just dab into there and give it a little flick. There we go. You sounded really excited then, Peter, when you saw that. There you go, so that's quite effective, isn't it? And the other thing you can do is maybe just dip the end of the brush, the handle bit. You can kind of dab that in, have a bigger area, sorry, if you can do, and then you could kind of just pull through a little bit. I'll do it on the top actually because it'll be better, and I need to show you a little bit of paste just dried up there as well. So if we get one of our other colours, let's do some blue. Put a bit of blue on first, and then put that over with a bit more blue, so it's a little bit darker. That should give you a really nice little effect. There we go. And then that's where you can have your, I'm trying to do a little shooting star, so just a little dab on the top there, and then just pull through, and that's your shooting star just on the top. So that gives you a very quick, hopefully effective way of creating that. The other thing that we've got is our little planet here, which is our moon. And for that, once you've coated your cake, if you don't want to be using too much paste going over the top there, so just an extra little thing that's quite helpful is to just have a little ball of paste underneath on top of the cake before you actually then go over the top and coat it with the rest of the paste, so you can go quite thin still when you're coating, you don't want it too big. And then you can just use your ball tool just over the top just to create that indent with that. So if we just give that a push, and if you leave it to dry or start to crust, it'll give you a really nice kind of ripple effect as well. And then you can just kind of elongate where that lump of paste is underneath, and that'll just give you your craters, so you can do large and small ones as well. Otherwise you'll be pushing through and you'll be straight through onto your cake. Okay, so I think that's everything today. Hopefully you've enjoyed the intergalactic adventure. Not sure where Pauline's off to, but she'll keep us in tune and send us a postcard when she gets there probably as well.